Would I hear a difference in my modest system? Well, this question comes from Doug in Colorado Springs, Colorado, just down the street from us, about an hour and a half. When you place a truly high-end product like your BHK amps or the M700s into a highly resolving speaker system like your IRS-5s, I get it. I understand how it would be very easy to hear the differences that such high-end equipment can make. However, in a modest system like mine, which uses Monitor Audio Silver 300s, an NAD 326B amplifier, and a Blue Sound Node 2, I guess that's a streaming thing. I wonder how much more my speakers are, truly capable of achieving. In my system, would I even notice the difference between the PS Audio S300 or the M700? Those are our stereo and our mono amps. Or even the BHK? Or if I already effectively hit the point of diminishing returns because of the limit of my loudspeakers? I absolutely want to get the most out of my system, but I don't want to spend or buy more than is necessary and effective. And you get the honor today of the Chicken Award, because my answer is going to cause all of our community of chickens, no disrespect. I just think it's funny how much we start going, you know, like, okay. So, and speaking of chickens, well, this is not a chicken. I'm holding a Donald Duck bobblehead. I'm not sure, I'm not much of a football fan. I can see this is the Denver Broncos. And Donald, he's 03. I mean, he must be maybe his last name is Donald, and there's a picture of Donald Duck. I just found it funny because when I was growing up, we used to, gosh, I remember when we first got a color television. Can you imagine that? I mean, everybody had black and whites, and small black and whites, and one day, our neighbor, Mr. Bradenbeck, had the first color television on the entire block, and the neighborhood would come over to his house and watch color TV, and they only had a few shows. It was like a golf show, and I think NBC, this is in Anaheim, so sort of the Los Angeles area, and when it switched from black and white to color, there'd be this big clunk, and then this peacock. The following program is brought to you in living color. And this peacock would spread its colorful feathers, and then you'd see the golf game or whatever you were watching, and then it would click off and you were back to black and white. I hadn't thought of that for a while. And my parents, about a year later, my dad was a total techno freak. So he bought a big RCA, well, big at the time, color television. That thing was a behemoth. Sat up in my parents' bedroom, and all three McGowan kids would go up and we'd watch The Wonderful World of Disney. And I remember, and Star Trek. I think those were the two shows that we watched as a family, the original Captain Kirk. And I remember when The Wonderful World of Disney would come on, I would pray that it would be Donald Duck and the Chipmunks. I hated it when he had Davy Crockett, or I don't know, whatever crap they had on there that was like educational or something. I just wanted Donald Duck. That was, anyway, how did we get off on a Donald? Oh, that's because Donald Duck. So what are we talking about? Oh, yeah, all right. So Doug wants to know if he can hear the difference between a stellar mono or a stereo on a less than IRS style system. There's a lot of ifs in that. We have some, you can't see them right here, but some of Sandy's golden ear speakers, and those are really quite good. I think they're like $200 or $300 a pair. Some ELACs out of Germany. And those speakers, I can hear differences. I can tell you walking into a room on a pair of ELACs whether there's an S300 or an M700 playing if I know the track of music. It's immediately identifiable to me. I can hear the difference. So in most cases, I'm going to say yes. Okay? But there's a lot of caveats with that. I'll give you an example. In my house, Terry got a system that is a turntable and a pair of KEF LS50s and a Sprout. Now, that's a nice, fine little system. And I absolutely hear all the differences when she puts on a good record or a bad record. Not a problem. But I've tried different cables on there. I can't hear any difference at all. Tried different power cords. Can't hear a thing. You try it here on the IRS-5, and instantly, a power cable, a speaker cable, you'll hear it instantly. Can I hear the difference between Sprout 1 and Sprout 2 on Terry's system? Yes, absolutely. Sprout 2 is Sprout 100. I've got to use the right nomenclature or Scott gets mad at me. And it has 100 watt, the new technology ICE amplifiers. And it's considerably better than the original Sprout. Yes, I can hear the differences, but I can't hear the subtle differences. So one of the things we just have to think about is when we're talking about how much we can hear, we can't hear everything, but gross differences, like you're asking about whether you'd tell whether it's a BHK or a Stellar. Yes, absolutely. With those speakers and that system, you can absolutely tell it. Other more subtle things, vibration damping, cables, not so much. And I don't think I would invest in, as fine as much as I love BHK, I would be remiss in advising you to get something like a BHK for your rather modest system. Stellar, hell yeah, hook that baby up and you will be in hog heaven. But I think if it were my money, instead of buying into a BHK, I'd buy myself a better pair of speakers. Start with the speakers, make them as good as you possibly can, and from there, work your way up. But there's a balance. Got to have decent electronics, and Stellar, Sprout, all that stuff's really great, and it works well with modest speakers. Okay, clock away. I'll talk to you later. Bye.